All right, guys, here we go. Lesson 63. So you should have your workbook out, open to lesson 63 with a pencil, ready to rock and roll. We're going to start by looking at my screen. We have been practicing counting by threes. I started today with some of them missing, so this one's going to be 3. We're going to count the whole way to 30. So count with me starting at 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. Good job. Now let's try it without any numbers. See how good you've done, okay? We've been doing this for 2 weeks now. You should have it. Starting at 3, going the whole way to 30. At 3, here we go. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30. Good job. In your workbook, let's look at part 1. Part 1, you have some division problems and multiplication problems. What I want you to do is pause the video and work on A the whole way through capital B. So pause and do workbook part 1. All right, guys, you should be done with workbook part 1. Let's go over some of the answers. I'm going to read the line straight across. First line, 15 divided by 3 is 5. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 3. 6 divided by 3 equals 2. 12 divided by 3 equals 4. Next row, straight across, the answers are 2, 4, 3, 3, 5, and 1. Third row, straight across, 5, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the very bottom row, 3 times 5 equals 15, 3 times 2 equals 6, 3 times 3 equals 9, 4 times 3 equals 12, 2 times 3 equals 6, 5 times 3 equals 15, 1 times 3 equals 3, 3 times 3 equals 9, 3 times 1 equals 3, and 3 times 4 equals 12. Check any that you had wrong, circle any that you had wrong, and then we're going to move on to workbook part 2. So in class, we have been talking about comparing certain fractions using greater than, less than, or equal to. Okay, so in workbook part 2, you can see several fractions. Remember the rules we talked about. If the numerator, the top number, and the denominator, the bottom number, are the same, that is equal to 1 whole. If the top number, the numerator, is bigger than the denominator, that is bigger than 1 whole. And if the top number is smaller than the denominator, it is smaller than 1 whole. Okay, so I want you to pause, and I want you to look at part 2 in your workbook, A through D, so pause and do part 2. All right, guys, you should be done with part 2. Let's look at A. A was 3/3, and the other fraction was 2/1. Looking at the screen, 3/3. These numbers are the same. That means they're equal to 1. If it helps you, cross it out and write 1 whole. Okay, this one over here, the top number is bigger. That means it's bigger than 1. So that's why this fraction is greater. B. Top number is smaller than the bottom. That means it's smaller than 1. Both numbers are the same. That means it's equal to 1 whole. So this one is bigger because it's equal to 1 whole, and this one's less. Okay, C and D. Here you go. Check your work. Again, top number is bigger. That means it's greater than 1. This one is equal to 1 because they're the same, so the greater than 1 is definitely bigger. Both numbers are the same. That's equal to 1. Top number is bigger. That means it's greater than 1. That means this is the greater fraction. Check your work with that one. This is going to be something that you need to practice, and I like crossing the ones out that are equal to 1 and writing it above because that helps my brain. If that doesn't help you, don't do it. Okay? If it does, please do. Okay, elapsed time. Elapsed time just means how much time has gone by. In the previous lessons, we talked about the different hours in a day. We said you have AM and you have PM, and there's 24 hours in an entire day. and you could count on the number line and see how far you went. When you are looking at a clock, where you are in your real world, you're not going to have a number line that you're going to have to count how much time has passed. This is a skill that you're going to have to develop, especially if you are a parent, because your kid you're going to have to plan sleep schedules and eating schedules and work schedules and when they're going to practice and when they're going to school and all the things. So this is a really good life skill. All right, a clock, this one right here, shows 12 hours. Okay? Up here we're starting with 12. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Some of you are like, why doesn't it have 24 hours? Because there are 24 hours in a day. Because we do 1 o'clock to 12 a.m. and we do 1 o'clock to 12 p.m. Okay, if you're planning on going into the military or certain like federal operations, they use a different type of system. They use the 24-hour system. Okay, so it's just a different way to tell time. But for your regular life purposes, we have hours between 1 and 12. Okay, so we have a big hand on a clock and a small hand. This is the smaller hand that they have on here. And the smaller hand is that hours or minutes? Yeah, the smaller hand is the hours. You would think it's the bigger hand because hours are bigger, but it's really the small hand. So this would be showing 12 o'clock. Okay? And remember, I showed you this the last time. This is a full day cycle. Okay, so midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 a.m., noon, that's like around when we eat lunch here at school. Then we have 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., we're out of here, going home. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's when you should be going to bed. 9, 10, 11, and then you're back to midnight. Okay, so again, this is the whole 24 hours. Okay, so listen to this. I'm going to give you a little word problem. If Glenn started at 9 a.m., okay, and drove 5 hours to Cleveland, what time did he arrive? You can use the chart on the screen. He left at 9 a.m. and went 5 hours. Okay, let me take a look at this. So he's at 9 a.m. He's right here. He went 5 hours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What time was it when he got there? Yeah, 2 p.m. He would have arrived at Cleveland because we added 5 hours to that. You could also do that in your head. You're like, oh, I left at 9, 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 12, 1 p.m., 2 p.m. That's 5 hours. Okay, you can use your fingers to count. When you get to the textbook part today, there's a little bit on elapsed time. Okay? All right, find part. Actually, let's do something a little bit different here. I'm going to kind of zoom through some of this stuff. I want to first start by practicing our counting of fives. So we are going to count by fives the whole way to 50. Okay, so counting by fives, count with me. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Good job. This is a skill you probably learned in elementary, counting by fives. Counting by fives is good for things like money, because we have $5 bills. You can count fives that way. And we're going to talk about division and multiplication of numbers that have a 5 in it. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to zoom through some of the textbook stuff because you're going to do that on your own. Oops, went a little far. Right here. These are division problems. I know that these are multiplication problems, and I know they're multiplication because they have this arrow that goes across, and it tells me what happens when these two are multiplied together. Okay, if it's a straight line, we're adding. If it's kind of a curved line, we're multiplying. If there's no arrow and there's a little number inside of like what I call the house, in the house is division. So this one, 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 7, 35. 5 times 8 is 40. This should be easier now that we warmed up counting by fives. Okay? When you get a multiplication problem that has the number 5 in it, you should automatically be counting by fives in your head. That's the repeated addition part. You can do that with your fingers. Okay? So now that we warmed up some of those, I want you to look at, let's see, what part in your workbook do we want to do? Look at part 5. Look at part, no, that's in your textbook. How about you work on the independent work, which is workbook part 3. I want you to do workbook part 3 on your own if you haven't done it yet. That's your independent work today. And then you should have some textbook practice on Canvas. And you're going to be practicing, one of the parts is practicing this skill. Okay, so that's the lesson today. Make sure you finish your independent work in your workbook and also the textbook practice on Canvas. Good job today, guys.